Welcome to today's episode of the Working Wisdom podcast series, brought to you by the CT Bauer College of Business at the University of Houston. We're having a conversation about work-life balance, how to navigate and overcome challenges within your career, and how to make business more accommodating to a diverse workforce.
All right, everyone, welcome to this episode of Working Wisdom. I'm the host for the day, Justin Hutto. I'm a junior at the Bauer College of Business, studying in marketing. And our guest today is Derek Brown, the Vice President of Business Development and Marketing at Mercedes-Benz of Sugar Land. So welcome, Derek.
Thank you. Very excited to be here.
Excited to have you here. All right, so I've got a lot of questions for you. And the first is, I know your title is VP of Business Development and Marketing. What exactly does that mean?
It means there's a lot that goes on. From a high-level standpoint, that's online media, anything digital, website, social, video, merchandising the inventory, to traditional media, print, TV, radio, and all the way down to public relations, community relations, events. I even fix the phones. So pick up a napkin if I see it on the floor, things like that.
So what kind of team do you have to help you with all of those tasks to make sure it all goes well?
So we have a great group of individuals inside the dealership. We're almost like an in-house ad agency and business development center.
Okay.
So I've got one U of H grad who was with us, Priyanka Patel, and
Nice.
Priyanka came on board as a delivery specialist. So she worked with deep product knowledge, delivered over 5,000 vehicles in her first 3 years with the dealership, and transitioned into the business development role. So she comes with a lot of product knowledge, and she assists the customers with their decision making, and she's like a walking encyclopedia.
Nice.
So she's fantastic. We have Tina Serrano, who oversees the digital arm, and that includes the website, social, search, and so forth. I've got a videographer / inventory specialist, Dennis Nguyen, who also is the guy behind the lens on our web series Hot Laps.
Nice.
We've got Josie Drago, who handles PR and community relations, and then a myriad of other positions within the dealership. And we all kind of tiptoe in each other's to collaborate and help and support.
Yeah.
So
Very cool. So pretty big team.
Yeah.
A lot to manage. So tell me about how you got into your current position. What's the story behind that?
So the story goes, I was part of a startup company that moved into Houston through acquisition growth. And the role that I was in a startup environment was much like it is now, where you wear about 50 hats.
Yep.
One of those hats was cold calling.
Okay.
And on that special day that I grabbed the yellow pages, I saw Mercedes-Benz of Sugar Land, especially Mercedes-Benz, jump off the page. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to make this cold call, see if I was in outside sales. That was kind of my specific role. And I made a phone call and got to Bernice King and set an appointment, closed the deal. We had a great relationship. And as my career moved on from that company, we kept in touch. And about a year after I left that company, she called to see if I'd interview for the business development manager position. And I was just driving home on my first day at another job.
Oh.
I said, I can't. I appreciate it. I feel an obligation to be loyal. And,
for sure.
So she called me a year later. I'm in grad school here at Bauer, and I'm at that career crossroad where, you're really trying to figure out. A lot of people, at least for myself, going back to school is, what do I want to do next? Where does my career go from here? And that was a sign. I was like, I can't turn this down.
Perfect timing.
Yep. So that's how it began, and here we are 9 years later.
Very cool. So started off with a cold call, ended up with a huge career.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you mentioned the MBA just then. So tell me why you decided to make Bauer your choice to develop your career and get your MBA.
So Bauer has a really unique role, and University of Houston does in my family. My parents fell in love at the University of Houston, so my family really began here.
Okay.
And when I was at that career crossroad, you're shaking your head in agreement because you kind of know that point where you're like, what's next? And I like to make the sports analogy. We all elevate our game when we play with those who have a higher skill set or more experience than we do.
Right.
And
for sure.
And so I was like, well, I've got to up my game at this point. I'm at a job. I don't really feel like I'm in my career yet. I had done an advanced management degree, which is kind of like a consolidated MBA at Rice, and I really enjoyed the experience, but something kept pulling me back to Bauer, so I came and did an info session. Unbeknownst to me at the time, I was talking to some of my future classmates in that, and two things really stuck out. The first in the executive MBA program was the minimum requirement of 5 years mid-level management experience or above. And the second thing was the IBR, the International Business Residency. So for me to elevate my game, I would get international exposure and more cultural understanding. And the second thing would be, again, to play on a court with people at a higher skill set than I had or more experience. I had mid-level management, but to be in the room with C-levels and people in different industries, that really excited me.
Okay. So you mentioned the international piece to that. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
You know, I think at a young age, a lot of things limit what we're able to do. One of those is money, right? I didn't have a lot of money. I mean, I couldn't afford to travel.
Trust me, I understand.
Right? You know, it's like ramen tonight or PBJ. And, you know, and I had a very young family at the time. And so the opportunity to make an investment in myself, but also fulfill some personal goals really appealed to me. And one of those was to, you know, see a larger piece of the world. China especially just really appealed to me and my interest in that culture and what that offered.
Okay, so you went to China as part of the MBA program.
Yeah,
That's super cool.
Yeah, we went to Beijing, Tianjin, Xi'an.
Wow.
We you know, got to see all the big sites and meet with a real estate company, an ad agency that developed a creative for the Beijing Olympics, which appealed to my side, right?
Yeah.
A lot of different businesses, so it was really informative for me, and again to be with these people that had a lot of unique experiences and insight from other industries and backgrounds. So,
super cool. Okay, so based on that experience and really across the world and within the program over the couple of years you were in it, what experiences from the program have you taken today and still apply in your current position?
Take lots of power naps when able.
I like that.
That's critical. No kidding. I would get to the office at 7, leave the office at 4:30, so I could get here in time for class at 5 because I did the Monday, Thursday program. When I was at Rice, I did the Friday, Saturday, and so I opted to kind of keep it within the week. So all kidding aside, the power naps, sometimes I literally would go to my car at lunch, roll down the windows, close my eyes for 20, 30 minutes, you know, set the alarm on my phone just to kind of repower up. We had our third child when I started the MBA program too. So it was really, I mean, I was at pure exhaustion. So it sounds silly, but really rest, taking care of yourself. The other things that I've really applied to my professional life would be that craving for education and learning. Being in marketing, you know, it's an evolving field. It feels like it changes every day, but it doesn't necessarily. You've got to stay current and you've got to stay in tune with things. So the EMBA really pushes you to constantly be reading and learning and seeking and collaborating and learning to listen and value when you're when you need to be a driver and when you need to be a passenger.
Okay, I get that. So you mentioned there about the importance of power naps and just your physical well-being in general. Mm-hmm. And I was reading some of your articles and you mentioned the importance of actually working out to stay on top of your game.
Yeah.
So tell me about your experiences and how you see a difference in being fit and versus not.
So where do you start with this story? I had appendicitis years after I finished grad school, and that, you know, the appendicitis wasn't correlated necessarily to my diet or anything like that, but it was kind of an awakening moment for me to kind of look at my health and look at what I could be doing. It was actually very, very severe. It had been ruptured for over 48 hours, and it was really a life-altering moment. So that was kind of the beginning of me changing the way I wasn't eating cheeseburgers every night or drinking Dr. Pepper to quench my thirst every day, but I definitely could have exercised more and done some things. So I tweaked my behaviors and my eating habits. My wife's really great about that. And we, I get up at least 3 to 4 days a week at 5:30 to hit the gym. And it's just better for me in the morning. When I was younger, I could go at night, but the older I get, the better it is for me in the morning to just release those endorphins, have a little think time, a little me time, and I'm a better person for that.
You can tell a difference.
I'm happier. I'm moody like everybody else on certain days, but it's one of my preventative measures. Kind
of going back into the business aspect of your experiences, I see that you've got your Instagram following for Mercedes-Benz of Sugar Land up to 41,000. I believe that makes that the biggest Instagram following for any Benz dealership in the country.
That's correct.
How did you do that?
A lot of work, a lot of thought.
I can imagine.
A lot of planning.
Mm-hmm.
When I got into the game at Mercedes-Benz of Sugar Land in 2010, I activated our social media account. So that was really kind of uncharted territory. Yeah, I mean, you set it all up. They had people in there with different skill sets, and I felt like as that was sort of the beginning of it, I opened up my personal account. I was learning the navigating the landscape, so to speak. And so how we've built that is slowly, very strategically. We've tried a lot of different things. Some things have worked, and some just, not at all, frankly. But that's so we've done a lot of collaborative things. As it's gotten bigger, we've figured out great times to post, hashtags to use, people to tag, content that people actually consume,
right,
and content that they scroll by, right?
Yeah.
We've got analytics now on the Instagram stories that really tells us the progression and, how many stories really mean something to people and when do they kind of go, you had 500 people and it just dropped to 370 and why? Oh, was it 6 slides? Did that kind of bore people?
Mm-hmm.
Other things that we've done, I talked about the collaboration. For us, I've spoke to a marketing class here a few months ago, and one of the things we talked about and we really focus on internally is taking online offline. So we've put ourselves physically in places to where digitally, I walked in the room today and I'd already seen your face digitally, right? There's a level of comfort in that. And so the areas of discovery that we would normally do in person have kind of already happened. I know a little bit about you. You know a little bit about me. My pre-call planning, so to speak, using sales terms, is done. And so we've gone to car events. We've acknowledged content and complimented it online. We've invited car spotters and influencers to our events, to hot laps. Yeah. And as a ticket to participate, the expectation is that you will cross-promote and mention us in any of the social media that you post. And so those are just simple, very cost-effective ways that we've looked to just align ourselves with people with similar interests or people that we think have great stuff.
Mm-hmm. So when you're coming up with all these different concepts and campaigns, what's your creative process? How do you come up with these ideas?
A lot of research. Tina and the team are really great about looking at other people, looking at other examples and other brands. And sometimes it's she saw a TV commercial, I saw a post, I saw a magazine article. Mm-hmm. I'll give you one very specific example. So we were building a campaign for Oktoberfest last year. And I'm at home one night and I'm scraping my brain for ideas. And I got on Instagram and looked up the hashtag castles because I thought, all right, Germany, Oktoberfest, castles. Maybe we can use a green screen, come up with a backdrop. And I end up finding Newman's Castle in Belleville, Texas. It's a home that a man lives in. It's a literal castle. I'll have to show you pictures of it. And he hand-built it over an 8-year period. He's been running a bakery.
Hand-built it?
Yep. He and another guy. And so, long story short, I was like, that's it. That's the perfect backdrop. Let me Google it. It's 45 minutes away. So I called him and asked if we could film there, pay a little, location fee. And that all started with a hashtag and an idea in the head.
Clicking on it.
And then down the rabbit hole we go, And so
that's insane.
It was the perfect backdrop for our commercial. We got some great drone footage. We got a lot of still shots, for content. So if we're finding places or unique positions like the airport in Sugar Land, we had the green GTR, and I'm like, I want this in the right setting. Let's see if the airport will let us get in a hangar early in the morning. Mm-hmm. And, we've got at least 100 pictures that we can kind of use and keep on utility as needed. Yeah, so
very cool.
Just a couple of examples. It's simple stuff.
Yeah, just finding what inspires you. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We'll pause there and hear a word from some of our sponsors that support this podcast. We'll get back into it in a moment.
The Executive MBA programs at the CT Bauer College of Business focus on real-world problem solving with tracks in global energy and global leadership. Our full-service program on the UH campus offers everything you need to advance your career. We are Houston. We are Bauer. Learn more at mba.uh.edu.
And we're back here with Derek Brown, VP of Mercedes-Benz Sugar Land. Now, Derek, I'm also a race car driver. I didn't mention that yet, but I see that you have this series out called Hot Laps. Can you tell me about that?
Love to. Yes, and I did see the drag racing when I did my own little pre-call planning. So
Nice.
I think we can speak a little bit of similar language. So Hot Laps, we are fortunate to have a professional race car driver as our brand ambassador. His name is Corey Enders, at Corey Enders on Instagram and Twitter and so forth. Corey is in the Pro Mazda circuit.
Okay.
And so we were looking for ways internally as we put together a strategic plan. We were looking internally for opportunities to promote his brand.
Okay.
And as we were carrying out some of those strategic initiatives, we needed something to really set him apart from the other
races in that series.
You got it. And you know that. You know how it is.
For sure.
It's a loud crowd and it's hard to stand out.
Yes.
So I'm at home one night, and again, kind of like the hashtag experience we were talking about, I don't know how, I wasn't first to line to see James Corden do the carpool karaoke, but I don't know if I was on YouTube or I watched it live on TV. Either way, I'm watching carpool karaoke, and Iggy and him are going at it, and I'm like, I don't even like Iggy, IGGY, but I'm going to TRY an idea, and we're going to go with it. So I thought race car karaoke, what if we stuck an influencer in the car with Corey? He could show off his skills.
Yeah.
We could scare the dickens out of him and get it all on camera. And I'm like, well, if it's lame, it's boring, let's try it. So I went to our owner. I said, what do you think? Let's try it. And so that's what we did. And the idea was built around leveraging that collaborative motion to cross-promote each other, leveraging their network along with our network. And so the opportunity to interview tied to my background in broadcast and journalism, and
Right, that's right.
and give the influencer a chance to really kind of promote themselves within the episode, because we didn't know what would happen when they got in the car. They might not want to talk. They might have a difficult time communicating, which through B-roll we have found out that does happen. And so that was the concept really to at the beginning, and even now is to promote his brand, our brand, against the myriad of dealerships in the city.
Yep. So with Corey, how did you get connected with him? How did you choose him as the driver for that series?
So our owner is Ken Enders, and he is the former head of marketing for Mercedes-Benz USA, and that's his corporate background. And so the opportunity to bring his son as he decided to pursue a career in racing really aligned with Ken's marketing eye and what we were trying to do, because we already had a built-in affinity for the AMG brand and what that means, especially with Lewis Hamilton's footprint in the F1 circuit and things like that. So to have someone local who's homegrown Sugar Land, Texas, Houston native, so to speak, and align that with, again, our the love we already have in place,
right,
just made sense.
Yeah, okay. So for me as a race car driver, I'm always looking for sponsorships, and partnering with a company or a dealership like yours, that's how racing careers are made.
Correct.
So based on working with Corey so far, what would you say the benefits are for the local dealership is with partnering for a race car driver with like a national footprint?
Right. So for us, we're local. We're specific to Sugar Land, and again, you've got a handful of other Mercedes-Benz dealers and a collection of dealers across the city that also sell pre-owned Mercedes-Benz vehicles and so forth. So why does it make sense for a local race car driver, to your point, to collaborate with a local dealer? Corey isn't just us putting him on a pedestal in Hot Laps. Corey also is a coach and trainer in our teen driving school. So we have a loyalty program called First Class Access, which is exclusive to our clients, whether you buy a light bulb at our dealership or you service or purchase your car. It's complimentary. It includes a card like you can see in my wallet and on my keychain. Okay. And we have exclusive partners. One of those partners is MSR Houston.
Nice.
We offer a complimentary teen driving school to our clients. The teen needs to have at least 6 months driving experience, and they can participate. We have anywhere between 3 to 4 a year at the racetrack. That's a $500 value, and Corey's there to coach and train them.
That's cool.
So it's not just about racing. It's about taking his driving skills and giving it back to a community that needs those things, especially in a world of technology and texting. And, I mean, we've all sat on 45 and Been cut off probably 3 times
Yeah.
in 10 minutes, you know? So why does it make sense? Because you've got to find strategic initiatives that align with your local brand, your local community, and make sense, because he's not just a race car driver. He's a coach.
Right.
He's a safety instructor. And those are skill sets that once you ride with someone, as you know, that has those skill sets, it's not a video game. It's not easy. It's not commonplace. It doesn't come naturally to everyone. Turning, steering times, braking, the apex, and all those types of things that's a new world to a lot of people.
Okay, so very cool. So he's not just showing off the brand at a racetrack. He's also helping your community become safer.
Absolutely.
That's super cool. So one more question about racing.
Sure. No, go ahead. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. So if you're in my position, you're a college student, 21 years old, you're also a race car driver, and the dream is to race professionally full time. You recently just got a new driving job, but the way you get paid is through winnings, and to do it full time, you've got to have sponsorships in order to make it. What would you do to get to your end goal?
Your objective is to get sponsorships, right?
Yeah.
Move full time into that. Finish your education and move full time into
Right.
it. I think it's smart, number one, that you're finishing your education, because what happens if you get hurt? It's like trying to tell a guy that's dreaming of going to the NFL or an NBA or whatever it is. At some point you got to have a fallback. You got to have an option B. So I think you're smart to get your education, because that'll also give you a business perspective as you analyze and think about things.
Yep.
I'm a simple guy. I love a good piece of paper and pen, and I love to just put the objective down in a big bubble at the top of the page. My objective is to get sponsorships. Well, what's the first thing I need to do? I need to identify targets. Okay. The next step, are any of those targets, are there any articles? Have I set up a Google News alert for Houston, racing, keyword terms, anything that could ignite inspiration? Is there a company sponsoring? Who are people that I see sponsoring health, lifestyle, race, anything that's even remotely connected, bicycling, anything that's even remotely connected to your circuit? Who are the paid advertisers in your circuit? Is it Monster Drink? Is it, Rentec? Whatever it is, and who are those guys connected to, and where else are they advertising? Calling those people. Why did you guys choose to do this? Start backwards and work your way that way. So I would come at it from both ends. Start a target list like you normally would just in any sort of sales and lead generation, and also call the sponsor. Why did you decide to do it? Let them tell you a story. We all like to talk about ourselves.
Yeah.
We're all good at it, right?
Yeah.
So just let them tell you their story.
Okay. So
Take online, offline.
gotcha.
Just like you're doing with me. Hey, can we grab a cup of coffee? I've mentioned that in other articles or when I'm speaking and stuff. There's something about just sitting down and talking to someone like we're doing now. I had a young man reach out to me via LinkedIn or he reached out to me Instagram and LinkedIn, and he's coming to the office next week. He's just kind of looking for some career trajectory and trying to figure out something. He's a UH student, and
Nice.
hey man, I don't mind giving 30 minutes to help. Someone did it for me. I don't mind doing it. So I think that approach has worked for me, and I would translate that into what your objective is to secure sponsorships.
Okay. I like that.
Does that help?
Yeah. So just so I'm clear, so what you would do is you'd find, okay, these are the companies in this area that are related to what I'm doing. And then figuring out, okay, why are they spending their marketing dollars where they're spending it right now? And then trying to position what I'm doing to kind of match that reason.
Ask them the same question you asked me. Who would you recommend I reach out to? Who are other people that are sponsoring that you see? Obviously in a non-compete sort of arena, but building those, you got to build a relationship. That might not be a willing conversation. They're going to say, well, I don't want you to get in the competitive space with people that I'm up against. But if you're talking to an energy drink company and these guys are a tool company, that's not a space that they're going to really be punching bags to each other. But I would also work at it from the front end, which is just making a good old-fashioned target list. Who are people in decision-making positions? Getting on LinkedIn and then looking at those companies that are here, that are local. Looking in the HBJ, who are the fastest-growing companies? Those are little ways to just sort of ignite inspiration to the rabbit hole, like the hashtag.
Yeah.
It's a crumb, but the crumb led to
Once
the
you
pie.
get started, you'll find a lot.
Yeah.
I know that goes. Okay. Thank you.
My pleasure. That's free.
Appreciate it. So In terms of the Hot Lap series with Corey,
Yeah.
and really all of your marketing initiatives, I saw that part of your responsibility was calculating ROI at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you calculate the ROI for something like Hot Laps and the different initiatives that you have throughout the year?
So for Hot Laps, we're not looking at it from the perspective of a lead generation tool.
Okay.
That's categorized in our awareness. So we look at it from three ways: awareness, activity, and reputation / retention. So that's part of the awareness category. Am I expecting that Mercedes-Benz of Sugar Land is going to sell 27 cars because someone watched episode 4 with Corey and Sage Corrali and thinks, man, now I need an AMG GT?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily. That's an affinity connection that we're seeking through that, and an awareness and education that this is who he is, this is what the cars can do. So now flip that. Let's take Facebook, for example. We did a campaign in December, a lead generation focused campaign where anyone who'd done a search and been cookied, we're using a follow-up campaign through Facebook for lead generation. And so when we've got roughly 50 leads coming in from a Facebook campaign, we can track those into conversions through Priyanka, through our BDC, and see what's the relationship goal correlate, what's our cost per lead and our cost per acquisition on those types of things.
Wow.
So yeah, we're and it's dabbling. It's trying. The technology gets better, the tracking gets better, right? Our understanding gets better. We understand how to explain the ROI. So
Right.
5, 6, 7 years ago,
You couldn't do that.
yeah, we're just dipping our toe in the water. We don't completely understand the nature of this, and we're a small dealership, so our advertising dollars are limited, and we do the best we can with the manpower that we have. But
Y'all have done some really cool stuff.
thank you. Yeah, we've tried to really just be unique.
Okay. So you said there were 3 things you look at: activity, awareness, and the third one was what?
So yeah, it's awareness, activity, and then retention
Okay.
/ reputation.
Okay, got you. So the activity piece. What does that mean?
So that's phone calls, walk-in traffic,
Okay.
online lead generation, sold units. Retention and reputation is, our online reviews, our first-class access program. Awareness is our social media, our website traffic, our search marketing. Yeah, it's almost the funnel, if you will, the sales funnel.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, so just people working that funnel within the company. Got you.
Yep.
Cool. So last question I have for you,
Okay.
and probably the one that might be most important for the listeners.
Okay.
So I've seen in your previous articles that you encourage people to not just do what others think they should do, but to find their passion and actually pursue it. Now, what would you say to the students who may be afraid of the unknowns that come with actually following their passion?
When I was a young boy, my father was an advertising executive and worked a lot, and worked for the Chronicle for almost 30 years. Indiana Jones was big at the time. And he came home one night with a VHS camcorder, and it looked like a rocket launcher component, right? Because that was back when those things used to sit on your shoulder, Yeah, it was crazy. So now we can watch movies at our leisure, and we could also make our own movies. So this is before YouTube and before all this software and tools we had, right? Big risk. Dad would script these movies and these films, and he would splice in a clip. We'd jump off a waterfall on vacation in Oklahoma, and he'd splice in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and he would create these films.
Okay.
What's the point of this story, right? I learned at a very young age to take creative risks, to explore things of interest. My dad had a creative interest, even though he was working full-time. He was finding a way to unleash that creative animal inside so that he could find his balance and his passion elsewhere. The on-the-job training clearly wasn't giving him the full creative expression he was seeking. And it also really ignited that in me. That really has helped me with Hot Laps and helped me with the other things that we do. My family and I are taking a risk, and we're working on a family YouTube channel right now. I've got a very close friend who's been very successful and on YouTube, and it's not that it's new, but we're like, you know what? Let's try something else. We've all kind of got these creative juices. So I'm saying all this to express taking those risks, that just because you're working in a 9-to-5 or you're in a job, quote unquote, it doesn't mean that there aren't opportunities around you. You just have to look for them. I sat in grad school one night here, not far down the hallway from where we are now, thinking, man, I've got to do something. This is before Mercedes. And so I created a YouTube series, 5 for 5. I thought if I could ask business people 5 questions in 5 minutes, it would give me a cool way to network. And so I did. I think I did like, I don't know, 6 or 7 episodes. It's nothing fancy. I shot it all on my iPhone, stuck a microphone on my iPhone, but it was a great way for me to network and meet people and explore those things that you're talking about, taking risks, and how do I self-educate on this stuff to figure out what to do. Take a risk, man. It didn't cost me anything but time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps. I know that's a lot of information, but I was taught a lot of those things at a very young age.
Yeah, you had an example.
Yep.
Okay, so...
And we made 5 movies, and they're blackmail now, and they're horribly entertaining. But again, that creative expression that was instilled in me at a young age is, and self-educating. You know, no one knew how to edit and do all those things. It was like, there was encyclopedias in the library. There was no internet, so it's like I really learned that, man, I've got to get out there and just teach and fail and flop, get some scar tissue, and not be afraid.
So, for the students out there, if they have something they want to do, they don't know how to do it, they can figure it out. There's a way, right?
There's a lot of resources now. I mean, think about it, man. You and I could learn how to set up a podcast in 10 minutes watching a YouTube video, probably, right?
For sure.
Share the cost. We'll go to Radio Shack, buy a few things, and we're in it. And if it flops, okay, dude, we're both out $50.
Yeah.
Big deal.
That's the beauty of today. So that's my last question for you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the time. I learned a lot. I really appreciate it. And come back and see us sometime.
Look forward to it, man. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Working Wisdom podcast series from the C.T. Bauer College of Business, brought to you by the Working Families Initiative. The initiative aims to provide support and access for women in business school and the workforce, and to generate research that organizations can use to implement policies and standards to benefit a diverse workforce. For more information about Bauer College and this podcast series, visit www.bauer.uh.edu/podcasts.